have a public hearing, appeals and presentations. Presentation update concerning the status of the authority's water and wastewater utility infrastructure. Kenny, so this is what you're going to spend the rest of the evening talking about, right?
Thank you, Chairman, trustees. First and foremost, I noticed in Mr. Spurgeon's video that I was wearing the same shirt and tie that I'm wearing right now. I do have other shirts and ties. I just like this one. If you'll recall at the April 18th council meeting, Mr. Spurgeon
asked for a pay raise for us to buy another shirt and tie.
I guess I could, couldn't I? At the April 18th council meeting, Mr. Spurgeon talked about staff coming back and giving an update on our water and sewer projects, and that's what this is about. May the 3rd, 2016, so just over a year ago, we made a presentation to the council at that time, basically kind of showing the status of our water and sewer and even storm, but mainly the water and sewer, the condition, the aging, and how much we had grown over the past 40 to 50 years, and then your infrastructure has to grow to keep up with it. Today, I'm very excited to let you know what we've accomplished and where we stand in a year. So I'll go ahead and begin the presentation. First of all, we're going to talk about the water system improvements. We actually have 12 projects in some sort of design or construction or just about to advertise and go into construction. So I'll just hit on a few brief items and points of them. The second supplemental connection with Tulsa, that's the one that we started, I believe, April the 19th last year, and we had water flowing through our connection by August the 5th. Record time, 108 days. That's complete. That's really kind of started this year off. 24-inch water line, that's a connection from basically the Battle Creek area up on Omaha, 51st Street, headed south to Albany or 61st. It really will help with the distribution and the circulation of the water on the north end of town. The design is complete, but there's a big development going in at that location, and we're trying to work with that developer and allow them to do what they need to do and what we need to do. So there may be some redesign to that. The current design is actually approved by DEQ, but we may have some modification. Our goal is to actually have that in construction later this winter. Next one is elevated water storage tank. At the last council meeting, we actually received direction on land acquisition, so we're going to move forward with that and then go right into design. The construction monies we don't have yet, but at least we can get it designed and move forward. Ground storage tank mixers. As we've learned by switching over to chloramines about 3.5 years ago or so, chloramines are a fantastic disinfectant, but you have to give a lot of attention to them and really at your storage tanks. So we've got, you actually just had approval on this agenda to go ahead and start construction on some mixers in all 5 ground storage tanks. So that's it'd be 5 million gallons at Battle Creek and the 4 million gallons up on Tiger Hill. So it's actually 4 tanks that we're adding the mixers to. The ground storage tank, the west one on Tiger Hill, 1 million gallon, we're actually rehabbing. There'll be some painting and some improvements to the structural integrity of that. So that's actually moving forward as well. Now some of the bigger ones, the pre-treatment or plate settlers, you just approved that previously in the consent to actually make some modifications. This is kind of our, if you will, our bottleneck at the plant that's creating a little bit of challenges for us. As we address these challenges, we can actually increase our production at the plant to actually 30 million gallons per day. So this is something that we'll go design most of the year and hopefully later this year or sometime next year move into construction on this one. Copper sulfate feed, that is an algicider. So it kills algae at the plant. This is a booster pump that will actually feed the chemical to kill the algae before it gets into the plate settlers, and then that way it won't foul our membranes. That design's already underway and move into construction later this year. Jasper Water Line, 131st Street from just basically Olive, about a half mile east. It's an 8-inch line right now. We want to upsize to a 12-inch line. The design is underway. Construction monies are actually about a year or 2 out, but we think we can actually do this with our in-house crews, so that's why we've moved the design up and try to save some money and get it moving quicker. Downtown water line improvements, this is an ongoing process. We've got some money in our loan right now. We want to upsize College from Main Street to Cedar from a 4-inch to an 8-inch to help the circulation and distribution in the system. Design is under progress right now. We'll be in construction later this summer, by no later than the fall. A few other items for the water is Kenwood Hills booster pump replacement. That actually would have actually been in construction, but the guy standing before you had a bright idea, he thought one day, as he's driving down the expressway, and said, why are we trying to rehab a 40-year-old booster pump station when we can now bore underneath the highway and tie it to our high-pressure plane, which would be the tank at First Baptist Church. So my staff and I talked it through, looked at it, got with the consultant, and we decided it actually is a better improvement. Takes away maintenance and operations of a booster pump station, puts them on the high pressure plane, which boosts their fire protection, and we just felt like it's a better solution to save money. In-house staff is actually completing that design. We're about 60% complete. We should be done later this summer, early this fall, and go to construction hopefully by winter. Last two items, long-term water supply plan. For those that were here previously, we had a special council meeting in, I believe it was February, to talk about the 2060 water plan. What are we going to do moving forward? So we're looking at a long-term horizon. At that meeting, we had great discussion, great input from everybody, giving everybody opportunity to go through it a little bit more. I'm going to set some time aside and meet with Ms. Wimpy and go through that with her and get her up to speed. And hopefully this fall come back and get that document so we can move forward with it. And then lastly, as I said earlier about chloramines, it's a great disinfectant, but it needs a lot of attention. And as we've learned over the last few years of dealing with it, we need to create a monitoring program, like we said, at the tanks and some of the other locations, a little more than if you use chlorine. So we actually got that started earlier this past spring. We've got some testing, and now we're developing more of a full-fledged program with that. Wastewater system improvements. This is the one that needs the most attention, as everybody knows. Right now, the preliminary treatment, that's a headworks and the grit removal, it's at DEQ for review right now. It's about $13 million construction. We anticipate advertising this June and being in construction on this in September. Kind of tied to that, the next one down is the digester rehab. That's actually on the street right now advertising. I believe it's an early June opening, so we anticipate being in construction by August on that. Both of these together are running a little over $15 million to the Lynn Lane wastewater treatment plant. Help obviously on the operations and how we go through the treatment process as a whole, but the other thing is they both will help on odor control as well. The wastewater system master plan, we're actually just finalizing that right now. The document's in, and the only thing we have to really do is do the final review and make sure that all the capital improvements that we have identified over the last couple of years are in the plan. The key here is kind of like the water. What are we going to do with our wastewater system over the next several years? So that document is almost complete. Bar screens are approved. We're ready to advertise that here shortly. This is for all of our lift stations, putting some screens in front of them to take care of a lot of the debris that comes in and clogs up our pumps and creates a problem for them. A lot of our stations don't have that, so we're already putting some bar screens in those stations. East Haskell subdivision sewer upgrade. This is a large subdivision that needs a lot of upgrade in their sewer system. Money, again, is about 2019, but we're trying to get the design done, and this may be something that our crews can address as we go along to help reduce some of the cost. Elm Creek trunk line, the upsize of that. So this is just the main sewer line just west of Elm, down in the south part of town that goes to the Lynn Lane wastewater treatment plant. This is largely about an 18-inch in most places. It's overloaded. The system is overloaded with the waste that's being carried to the plant. We've got something else that's helping that, but we've got it's in design right now. We're taking a look at some modifications and hopefully in the next year or two get that into construction. We don't have the funds yet, but it's scheduled in the future. Secondary clarifier rehab, the design is complete, and we will be going back to OWRB to get some funding. Most likely this fall. This is one of the big packages that will go back, so this should be in construction early next year. Next handful here are really trunk lines. So the county line trunk sewer, I think everybody's very aware of that, 1984 construction. It's been eat up by gases. We're in design right now. Design's about 90% complete. We're ready to go back and take a look at any additional right-of-way that we need. Well, this is be tied to that secondary clarifier I talked about later this fall. This will be one in the package that we'd go back and get the construction monies. This one is about $20 million to replace. Lynn Lane trunk sewer, this is actually from Jasper into the plant, 60-inch diameter pipe to handle the wastewater flows. That's what it's going to be. Today, it's about a 27-inch in most places. So this is where the Broken Arrow Creek, Lynn Lane, and County Line all come together for about just under a mile coming into the plant. The design's probably going to be later this fall by the time we're complete. We're trying to tie this one and then the one above the County Line trunk sewer together. So you'll have about 4.5 miles of replacement of trunk sewer while we're still working on the plant with about a year and a half of construction. So you're going to have a lot of construction activity down in the south part of town with the wastewater system. Altogether, it's going to be over, I think it was $36 million with everything that we're looking at right there. Hickey Creek trunk sewer, we're actually looking at slip lining the big 54-inch. So this is back over on the west side of town. This goes into the Hickey Creek lift station that goes to RMUA, their treatment process. 54-inch lines, about a mile or so. We're looking at slip lining that to increase its integrity, and we can still get through the flows with all the improvements that we've already made to the lift station just downstream of it. Aspen Creek Relief Line, Mr. Spurgeon actually mentioned this in his comments. This is the line that we were putting in just west of Aspen. It's about a mile from Tucson 121st to Florence 111th. It'll take 2 lift stations offline that will now go gravity feed. One of the lift stations runs almost constantly. That's how much load it has. That lift station right now on Florence pumps to Elm Creek. So as Aspen Creek Relief Line comes online later this year, we'll relieve that huge load that's going to Elm Creek. So we're balancing it out a little bit. Very good use of some funds that we had found to not only spur economic development, but address a lot of problems that we are having. Oneida Road Lift Station. So this is Oneida and Kenosha. It's complete. Substantial completion's already taken place. We're already using it right now, and we just got to finalize a few items with it. 209th Street Lift Station and Force Main. I believe I left the word main off. This is actually under construction right now. This will be basically just east of the Turnpike and south of Kenosha. It's about 9,000 feet of force main that will redirect a lot of undersized lift station right now and redirect the flow towards the County Line trunk sewer and go to the Lynn Lane. This has to be online by the time Timber Ridge opens up in August. So the engineering staff, along with utilities, got very creative to figure out how to get this thing working. Right now, it's under construction and moving along real well. SCADA, this is a control system that will allow us to look at all of our lift stations. Right now, we can't, and actually booster pump stations too, all of them. Right now, we can't. We have to go visit them daily. We have crews going out and looking at them. Now with this control system, we can monitor that and be much more efficient and much more effective. This is ready to go to construction right now. Last couple of slides are on RMUA. This is a flow equalization basin. We just completed one at the Hickey Creek plant a couple of years ago to 12 million gallons is what it can hold. In the last couple of rains, not this past one, but when we had the weekend back-to-back, one of them, the only one had, the 12 million actually overflowed. It bypassed. It was that full. We had 12 million gallons of diluted wastewater in it, but it's still a bypass. We're under construction right now with an additional one that will bring our total up to 30 million gallons of storage at the plant. So this one's already in construction. It'll take the better part of this year to complete it. Last few items. Hickey Creek force main. Right now we have a 24-inch and I believe a 30-inch force main that go to the Hickey Creek from the lift station in Hickey Creek Park. It pumps south about 3.5 miles to the plant. We're getting ready to upsize one of the force mains to a 36-inch brand new force main. That will start this summer. We have our funds in place, design's complete. We have right of way. Tulsa will get their money here in the next month or two, and then we'll go to construction with this one. Right down Garnett, basically. Hickey Creek Lift Station, I just talked about that when we basically have completed an odor control, a screening with that lift station, and now we'll go into future phases with that. Grit removal, rehabilitation, that's The last few items, really the last three, are all at the plant, and they're just starting design. So each one of them are just getting into contract and starting the design process. All told, we have about $70 million from the design and construction, just really that has started just over a year ago, and will be in construction on most of that by the end of this year. So, you know, right now I applaud everybody that's been involved on addressing this. Engineering, utilities, legal's helped us, finance. Tom Caldwell doesn't like to see us coming because he knows what's next. I need millions, but that's where we are. We've made a lot of progress, and it's just been a team effort. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Kenny?
Yeah, I had somebody ask me actually this last weekend on the Lynn Lane sewer treatment plant on percentage-wise, how successful you think that will be in reducing the odor?
I think it's going to be very successful. We've got a few problems out there, but the biggest part of that success is kind of twofold. We're moving the headworks, which is open to the atmosphere right now. We're moving it south away from the property line and enclosing it. So that's huge right there. And then the other part is there's a screw pump which lifts up and takes it into the process. That's being done away with. So we have two open air processes that are creating a whole lot of the problem. And then the other project, the digester, is going to help as well.
The one thing I want to mention to council is that Kenny and I talked that once we award the contract for the improvements down there, we're going to actually go out to the homeowners association meeting and have a discussion and just, you know, eyeball to eyeball, tell them what's going on and then keep them informed because it is one of those projects that could take approximately 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's something we've been talking about, so we just want to make sure that they hear from us. So Anthony will be coordinating that, but we'll let the council know in case you'd like to come out.
That's something we've been working on for years as far as that issue, so.
Thank you.